Hello and welcome to another free English lesson. This time I'm going to take a look at British English and American English again. This course has several parts. This right here is the intro, and in a moment I'm going to show you several words and I'm going to show you the differences between British English and American English. So for example, it will look like this. In British English, you would say aubergine, and in American English, you would say eggplant. That's just one of the many examples I'm going to show you in this video. Now, if you're new here, you can also listen to this as a podcast on Spotify. So make sure to follow me on Spotify and subscribe on YouTube. Now, in the second part of this course, I will repeat each word, the British English version and the American English version, and then I will give you a little time to repeat after me, so that way you can learn each word and hopefully, really take it in. Now, let's get started with more differences between British English and American English. Alright, so the first two words I want to talk about is airplane. That's American English, and that's spelled A-I-R-P-L-A-N-E. And in British English, people also say airplane, okay? Now, it's time for a disclaimer here, I guess, that, I just want to say that many people obviously say these words in both British English and American English. And just because I say something as British English here does not mean that Americans do not say them, or, Canadians or Australians, etc. Okay, this is just standard British English versus standard American English. Of course, there are exceptions. Now, many people say airplane in British English, of course, but in British English, you will also hear aeroplane, spelled A-E-R-O-P-L-N-E. So aeroplane in British English and airplane in American English. Here's an example for you.
A bit like an aeroplane.
And here's one more example for you.
Oh, airplane. We got an airplane.
Okay, the next example I want to talk about is American football. That's what British English people, would say. Many people would say American football as opposed to just football, which is what people in America would say. Now, when people in Britain and Europeans talk about football, they usually mean a different sport, a sport that is called European football or soccer in America. So it gets a little confusing here, but basically in American English, it's just called football, and in British English, it would be called American football. Football is spelled F-O-O-T-B-A-L-L, football, and American football. Here's an example for you.
It's football! It's just football!
Okay, the next words I want to talk about is the American Revolution. Now, in American English, this is called the American Revolution. This is a historical event that's obviously very important. I hope you are familiar with it. Now, the American Revolution is obviously used in the American English language. Now, the interesting thing is that in British English, different words are used. The words that are used are, they use American War of Independence. So in British English, this entire event is called American War of Independence. Whereas in American English, it's just called the American Revolution, because it was, of course, a revolution. Okay, so British English, American War of Independence.
The American War of Independence.
And American English, American Revolution.
We're studying the American Revolution now.
The next example I want to talk about is eggplant. So in American English, this is called eggplant. It's spelled E-G-G-P-L-A-N-T, eggplant. And in British English, the word is aubergine. Now, like I previously said, not everyone in America will say eggplant, and not everyone in Britain will say aubergine. However, many people do. Aubergine is spelled A-U-B-E-R-G-I-N-E. And here's an example for you of the British English version.
And then we got some grilled aubergine with some feta.
And here's an example of the American English version.
Here's an eggplant.
The next words I want to talk about are basically holidays. So what I'm talking about is a public holiday. In American English, it's simply called a public holiday. Now, in British English, public holidays are called bank holidays, because of course the banks are closed on public holidays. So it is a bank holiday. Bank as in, the financial institution, B-A-N-K, bank. Here's an example for you of the British English version.
It's Bank Holiday Monday. Recovery Monday.
And here's an example of the American English version.
Harvey Dent Day may not be our oldest public holiday.
Okay, the next words have to do with clothing. In American English, something is basically custom made. Custom made is spelled C-U-S-T-O-M-M-A-D-E, custom made. For example, a suit, a business suit for men or women can be custom made. In British English, the word used is not custom made, although some do use that word custom made, but the word used is bespoke. Bespoke is spelled B-E-S-P-O-K-E, bespoke. Here's an example for you of the British version.
Bespoke suit always fits.
And here's an example of the American version.
They were custom made.
All right, the next two words I want to look at is BFF. BFF is actually short for best friends forever. And this is used in American English to basically describe a bestie, a best friend. And BFF is very common in America. Some people would also say BFF in British English, in my opinion. However, many people in Britain would say bestie or something along the lines of that, best friend. Is basically what that means. Bestie. Bestie is spelled B-E-S-T-I-E, bestie. Here's an example for you.
BFF, best friends forever.
All right, next up, I want to talk about a baking ingredient. In American English, it's called baking soda. You probably know what it is. I mean, at least I hope you do. And in British English, it's sometimes called bicarbonate of soda. I have also seen, of course, packages that say baking soda. So baking soda is very common internationally, in my opinion, not just, in America. So people will say baking soda in British English as well. But people also say bicarbonate of soda in British English.
Bicarbonate of soda.
Next up, I want to talk about a specific kind of pen. In American English, this is called ballpoint pen. So ball as in B-A-L-L, and then point as in P-O-I-N-T, and then pen, P-E-N. Ballpoint pen. Ballpoint pen. And in British English, people would say biro. B-I-R-O. Now again, not everyone in Britain will say biro. Some people will say ballpoint pen. And again, not everyone in America will say ballpoint pen. However, many people do. So here's an example of the British version for you.
Oh, take out the biro, sir.
And here's an example of the American version for you.
It's a Fisher ballpoint pen with a custom nib.
Okay, the next example I want to talk about is they're actually two different things, but I still want to mention them because they get changed by people, they get used by people all the time. And they get interchanged by people is what I mean. So in British English, the word is biscuits. That's actually plural. Spelled B-I-S-C-U-I-T-S, biscuits. In American English, the word would be cookies, or at least many people think it is cookies. C-O-O-K-I-E-S. So biscuits and cookies. However, biscuits and cookies are technically not the same thing. There's actually a difference. Basically, cookies are very, soft, and you will find many items in Britain that actually say cookies on the packaging. So the word cookie is very common in America and in Britain and, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, etc. Basically worldwide. You could even find cookies, a package that says, cookie, chocolate cookie or whatever in Germany, my home country, if you like, However, biscuits are very popular in Britain. So I'm not talking about cookies now, I'm actually talking about biscuits. They are basically harder. And that's why I'm mentioning them here, because they are so popular in Britain. So biscuits.
Biscuits.
And cookies.
Cookies?
All right, the next example has something to do with books. Basically, in America, you could go to a bookstore. So B-O-O-K-S-T-O-R-E, bookstore. In British English, you would say bookshop.
This is work, by the way, my little travel bookshop.
Now, again, not everyone does this. There are exceptions, of course, but many people do say bookshop as opposed to a bookstore.
In the bookstore.
Okay, the next two words are both kind of slang. In American English, many people say bro. Bro is kind of short for brother, and bro is a slang word for, kind of another man, a dude. People say bro to like a friend. It's very common in both American English and British English, in my opinion. Many people say bro. People even say bro in Europe these days. Everyone says it, German people, Polish people, everyone. But there's a British English alternative, and that's not as commonly known, in my opinion, and that's actually bruv. Bruv is also short for brother. However, it's spelled B-R-U-V, bruv. And not many people outside of the United Kingdom may know this word, which is why I'm including it here. So, bruv and bro. Here's an example of the British English version.
Still you, bruv.
And here's an example of the American English version.
Bro.
Alright, that was the first part of this free English course about British English and American English. Now I'm going to repeat each word again, but I'm going to give you some time to repeat after me. So this is a little repetition exercise. Let's get started. British English, aeroplane. American English, airplane. British English, American football. American English, football. British English, American War of Independence. American English, American Revolution. British English, aubergine. American English, eggplant. British English, bank holiday. American English, public holiday. British English, bespoke. American English, custom made. British English, bestie. American English, BFF. British English, bicarbonate of soda. American English, baking soda. British English, biro. American English, ballpoint pen. British English, biscuits. American English, cookies. British English, bookshop. American English, bookstore. British English, bruv. American English, bro. Alright, congratulations, you made it to the end of this free English course about British English and American English. Now, this is one of many episodes in this series, so make sure to check out my playlist and discover more differences between British English and American English. Now, I really want to know if you sound more British or American, so let me know in the comments below. And as I said at the beginning, make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Follow me on Spotify as well. You can also follow me on other social media. I also have TikTok. I have a YouTube Shorts channel as well where I post daily short videos. So if you want to learn English daily, you're welcome to do that as well. And I want to encourage you to watch another English lesson right now. For example, this one right here.